come and do some jobs at my mum's house with me. So from now on, I am aiming to spend like 1 or 2 days a month at my mum's house, like helping out without the kids there. So we do visit about once every kind of 4 to 6 weeks at the moment, but we have three very young children, currently aged 6, 5, and 2. And it's pretty full on when we go to visit. Like, I think it can be quite overwhelming for my stepdad, who has suffered from a series of strokes in the past few years. So he had his last kind of set of strokes a couple of years ago now. It'll be 2 years ago in July. And at that point, we absolutely did not think that he would make it out of hospital. Like, I have never seen somebody so poorly and so near the brink of death. Well, actually, that's a lie. Maybe my dad. But, like my dad and my stepdad, I have had a couple of occasions in the last few years where I have seen both of them at the brink of death. It hasn't been fun. And the couple of years ago, that was certainly true of my stepdad. Like, he couldn't communicate at all. Like, he was completely out of it, and he was also very obviously in a lot of pain. Like, when he was coming to, he was just in so much pain. Anyway, it was an awful time. He spent a long time in a rehabilitation centre, and there they didn't think that he would ever be able to come home again. They thought he would have to go to a specialist care unit. But my mum was absolutely adamant she was going to work so hard to bring him home. And we did get him home, but he is very much, he's very much disabled and very reliant on my mum. And it's a full-time job for my mum being carer to him. And we are like unbelievably grateful and beyond blessed to have him back home with us and have that. It feels like, being given very much another opportunity to spend time together. And he has worked very hard at regaining as much of his speech as he possibly can and as many of his skills as he can. But he's also, he's in his early 80s now, and having suffered the strokes, having the brain damage that he does have as a result, obviously has a really significant impact on his life. And in the last few months, we have just started to find that the added pressure of his disability together with him just getting older, meaning that he's needed more and more care, and my mum has struggled more and more with various different things around the house. So the idea is now that I will come and work from theirs, like maybe like one Friday a month. So I come up on the train early in the morning, work on the train so that I can get like a couple of hours work done, and then work from there around doing like a few jobs and just being company. Because also it's quite hard for my mum. She has the company of my stepdad, but he is very tired. Like, he sleeps a lot now, and then his speech isn't great, and he just doesn't have the energy for the conversation as well. And so it can be a bit lonely, which I think my mum, when she was telling me this, felt like it was kind of an odd thing to explain. You live with somebody and you're around them all the time, but yet you're feeling a bit lonely because they're not able to communicate like they used to. But I totally get it, and having seen it, I totally understand that. So, having come to my mum's in order to help out, I will say that I don't think I was as useful as I expected to be. It's been really, really busy at work lately. I feel like I've said that on just about every video, but it's been really busy. And during my train journey up, I had an email from somebody with a couple of like readouts of some things that happened in Parliament this week. And basically all of it was relevant to my clients, and I needed to do a bunch of articles and updates for them, and had loads of things already on the list to do. So I felt like I did a lot more work than I had intended to do. Like, I did more than a day's worth of work basically in total. And my intention was that I would have like lumps of time that I could dedicate to doing jobs around the house. But that said, I think my mum did find it useful having me there, or at least she said she found it useful having me there, and that I was, I was good company, in the evening certainly. But I sat like with my laptop on my lap on the sofa for a lot of it. And that meant that even if my stepdad nodded off, that I was there and could help keep an eye on him if he needed me for anything. And that gave my mum the kind of, she will pop out of the house. She will, run errands. She can go and get, some, pick up a few bits of food if she needs to or whatever. But every time that she does leave the house, she's anxious and she's worried that my stepdad might need her. So it just meant that with me there, she could go run a few errands, go to a couple of different shops if she needed some things from, and not worry so much because I am there. She does also have cameras in the house. So when she is out the house, like she can physically, like she can see my stepdad. But obviously, like, if he were to need her, she wouldn't be there. So that gives her quite a lot of anxiety. And, food shopping deliveries are awesome and all of that. But at the end of the day, you don't want to be also stuck in your house all the time. So the idea going forward is that will also give her the ability to go meet a friend for coffee or whatever. So I am cleaning in the video. I've just talked a lot about me, the reason why I'm visiting without explaining what I'm doing. So I'm cleaning a light fitting in my folks' bedroom. So they've got an absolutely gorgeous house. It's not a massive house. It's not a mansion or anything. It's a 3-bedroom house, but it has got loads of really lovely period features, including this really high ceiling in their bedroom. So all the other bedrooms have like regular height ceilings, but this bedroom has this extra like height ceiling, which is really awesome and just gives like that feeling of more space in the room as well. But with that kind of big height, there, you need to have a light fitting that kind of stands out or like fills some space, a bit of a statement light fitting. So they have this like, I don't know, mini chandelier, I guess. And it's very, very cute, but it is glass. It's got these kind of bowl kind of cup thingies on the main light bulbs, which obviously get all the dust in them. And it is a job that my mum had kept saying she was going to do, but it does take quite a while. This actually took me just over an hour to clean, but I will say I've never cleaned anything like it before, so that's probably why. But yeah, I'm so glad my mum asked me or agreed to me cleaning that because it took me a while to get my bearings on the ladder. Like I felt really uneasy up there. So now we are moving on to a bit of a speed clean. So later on in the evening, once I had finished work, my mum went to have a shower. My stepdad was having a doze, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to make this my mission. Like I didn't have my timer with me, but I'm going to treat it like when I have my timed cleans. My mum's house is very clean. Like I would say, my mum has very high standards. She expects quite a lot of herself. And when me and my brother and sister were younger, and once we'd gone to school, she actually did work as a cleaner. And I think she just constantly holds herself to those standards still. And she's expecting the house to be very pristine and at a standard which honestly I can't myself maintain with 3 young children and working and everything. But she does a really, really great job at keeping on top of things. So my mission with my visit really was to try to do some of the deep cleaning and get to some of the areas that she struggles with because she has arthritis. And I did deep clean the downstairs shower room and the upstairs bathroom. But my mum, being the kind of stickler and that she is for these high standards, she wasn't very comfortable with me filming that sort of thing, and that's absolutely fine. It's her house, it's her life. I'm not here to like make YouTube content. I'm here to like help, be of service and be company and see my folks. So what I filmed was only what she was absolutely comfortable with. But while she was in the shower, I thought I'm going to run around, I'm going to try and just have a bit of a tidy. And I wanted to clean the floors in the kitchen and the dining room, which are kind of, main areas that are used quite frequently, because I know my mum finds it difficult now to get down like on floor level. She does have a robot vacuum cleaner like I do, and they are super, super useful. But just like having that ability to do a really like thorough clean and get around all the edges that are difficult to reach, I wanted to do. So I am tidying up on the kitchen island. My mum is very much a visual person. If she has jobs to do, things to sort out, she needs to have things left out to see. And I am like that to a degree. Like if I have paperwork that I need to sort out, then I need to leave the paperwork out in view. I won't remember it otherwise. So what I didn't want to do here is get rid of anything or, I sort through things and decide whether they were useful or not, because it's not for me to decide that. But I was making more organized piles of things that belong together. And if there were like vouchers for money off things that it had expired, like that had actual dates of expiry on that had been and gone, then I would bin those. And that's all I got rid of, was just a few vouchers. I piled up like paperwork, I put medications together, and then there were like gardening stuff and like plant seeds and things like that. I put those together in piles. So I just try to like put things together in like piles, and then just scoop up a little bit of, dusty bits and bobs that were on the kitchen island. So a lot of you have been asking me when I'm going to go back to my dad's. So I've done a little mini series of helping my dad to declutter and tidy up. He is very much a hoarder, and has really struggled with his flat, has really got on top of him. I would say that he and my mum are not at all alike, and perhaps why their relationship didn't work out. But my dad has very much got overwhelmed at his place, and I've been and had a real good clear out of his kitchen. I have had a deep clean of his like I say half bath, his toilet and sink area, and we've had a really good declutter and clean of his bedroom. And the next place to tackle is his like main living area. So I've asked my dad, I have asked him before, and I've asked him a couple of times now, when can I come back and do the kind of next installment at your place? And he has asked for a bit more time before I come back. And I totally understand this. And it's because in his like main living area, that's where he has all of his like main hobby stuff. So the hobby that he's most into at the moment is basically like a miniature train set. It's a particular kind of Hornby train set, and that he has like all of his train stuff in his main living area. And I guess, we've been really, good at getting rid of a lot of stuff. I say we, my dad has been really good at getting rid of a lot of stuff in his flat. And it surprised me, if I'm honest, at how much he was willing to let go of. And I do wonder whether he's just anxious that I'm going to be expecting that same level of decluttering in the living area, and he is not prepared to let go of that much stuff. I do think he does, need to do some decluttering in that main living area. We are going to have to minimize to some degree, but he wants to spend more time doing that on his own terms without that kind of pressure of me being there. And I do totally understand that. I think that, there's a balance to strike between, also putting a bit of pressure on him to get me like booked in the diary so that I can go around and help. Because otherwise I worry that I won't get back there. Like if too much time goes past, and then I worry that things might creep back into the flat. Like I really want to get to the point where we have like properly decluttered, and we can do a deep clean and also do some redecorating and really improve the place. Like the bedroom for sure needs repainting. I need to go in and probably kill the mold in there. And I want to do that in the summer months. I don't want to wait until we get into winter and it starts to get, colder and damper again. I want to tackle that fully in the summertime. So I will ask him again when he's ready for me to go and help out with the living room area. But if we don't get to that point where he feels comfortable with me being around his hobby stuff, then at the very least, I'll get back and do some decorating in his bedroom, I think, and just go and do some more cleaning, because I think I need to help him as well keep on top of things. So it's a tricky period of life really, and I don't know how many of you are also experiencing this or have experienced it in the past. But like having very young children at the same time as having older parents who are suffering with their health is pretty full on. I don't think we're at the worst point that we necessarily will be either, or in the worst point that we could be, in that, my mum manages so much with my stepdad, and we, really, my brother and sister and I do very, very little to help my mum. And she is always worried about asking us to do anything, and is trying to do absolutely like all of it herself. So we have to, really kind of persuade her to let us help.
I'm doing a speed clean. I'm doing a how much can we do before mum gets down?
Oh, well, that should have taken a bit longer.
I think you can get past.
I've got to straighten my hair.
Yeah, you should be alright. Just watch the floor isn't too slippery or anything.
Wow, that's amazing.
Kitchen floor is
Oh,
fine.
and the kitchen works on the wet floor.
That's alright. You should be nearly
Right,
through.
I've got so confused now. I'm taking a glass in there. I'm shocked.
So my mum was suitably surprised at what I had been up to while she was in the shower, which is exactly the kind of reaction that I wanted. And I'm just moving on to the floor in the kind of dining room area here, getting under these bits of the table because I know that my mum really struggles with the bottom of the table and the vacuum cleaner can't get underneath it. So that's something that I wanted to get to while I was visiting, and I'm really pleased that I did. I will say that my mum did kind of gently tell me off for using the wrong product on the floor. So apparently there is proper floor cleaner that I should have used, and I used the Flash, which is what I use in my house, even though I have real oak flooring because basically our oak flooring is shot to bits from having young kids and furniture being scraped over it and little ride-on vehicles being driven up and down and oh God, all the rest of it. I would absolutely love to remove all the furniture downstairs, sand my floor and reseal it, but that is just never going to happen. It's such a big job to do. And like logistically, getting everything out of the downstairs to do that is impossible. So hopefully the next person that moves in when we eventually move out one day will have the energy to tackle that because it's a beautiful floor in my house. They could absolutely do with some TLC. But yes, so next time I know, use the actual wood floor cleaner now. It's just not something that I think of because, as I say, my floor is not that good in my house. But my mum has kept hers much better than mine. So there we go. So having done the floors, and I went and had a chat with my mum and my stepdad, and then I thought, it's time for a cup of tea. It's very important if you're British, you've got to stop for a cup of tea, and then just to using a different cloth. Okay, I know they look similar, but is a different cloth. Give the surfaces a little wipe down, and then I just want to go over some of the cupboard fronts where there are a few like food spatters and that sort of thing. So I'm just putting some fairy liquid in warm water and getting some of these marks off the cupboard fronts, and then that will be it for me for this particular deep clean. So actually we did manage to do quite a bit, even though I had quite a lot of work to do and I didn't feel like I was as present as I wanted to be during this visit. Got a couple of bathrooms cleaned, got the and the speed clean here. And I will say that the bathroom, one of those bathrooms I did do the next morning before my husband arrived with my kids. So he'd taken the kids to football and swimming lessons and then drove them up. And we had a lovely afternoon playing in the garden, playing hide and seek and garden games. And then we all had a really yummy dinner together, and we stayed for another couple of hours before taking the kids home. And when we come up like that, we always bring the pajamas for the kids and then put them in their PJs, put them in the car like bedtime or just after bedtime, and drive back with them asleep, and it works really well. And also I think for the kids, like to be driving 4 hours in a day is quite a lot, whereas if they sleep for 2 of those, it's not too bad of a journey really. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great week, guys. Bye.